Hi, and welcome back to what I've been reading. Last time we talked, I caught you up on what all I'd read this year, so we're gonna catch back up and see what I've read since then. Okay, last time we talked, I was reading Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, and I made this comparison last time, but it reminds me of The Princess Bride in the sense that she's telling a past tense story about her life, and then it jumps back to present time, and you watch the listeners of the story, which are her three daughters in this case, reacting to the story as they're being told it by their mother. And she's telling them the story of how she used to date a famous actor that her daughters have always loved. They always loved his movies, and they never knew their mom had even met him, much less dated him in like her young years. I loved this book. You get to see each daughter's interpretations of what her mom should have done, what they would have done if they were their mom, how all these things they never knew about their mother. And you get to see how it affected the mom, her husband, the daughter's father, each little thing. And I really think the author did a great job of jumping back into past and present times and showing how each little like butterfly effect of things affects everything. And you get to see past tense things and know that's why XYZ is happening now, but then all this stuff in between you don't know, and it comes back, and it's just a really well told story. And like I said, each character is just so uniquely themselves, and you understand a lot of the time why they make the decisions they do and how everything leads up to the next thing. But I don't know, I just love this book. Next I read I Who Have Never Known Men, which is a dystopian novel about 40 women who are put into an underground bunker, constantly overwatched by guards, and they don't know why. They don't know why they were put here, what led to this, if there's other women, if there's other bunkers, nothing. The guards are constantly watching, they're given no privacy, and like I said, they have no idea why they're there. Most of them don't have a clear recollection of their life before this, because this is like blurred the lines of time progression, and they don't see the sunlight. They don't know how long they've been in here or really anything that's going on in the outside world. So this is a really interesting book. Eventually one day a young girl is put there. She isn't given a name. Her name is just the child. They're not allowed to have physical interaction. They don't have any books, any media, any entertainment. So obviously the way she is brought up, where she has had no outside world prior to this, she exists in a way that no one else does. Like, at least they had some knowledge of the outside world. Like, they'll talk about how they miss chocolate or they miss having baths or a job, and she doesn't know what these things are. And then one day they are thrown into the outside world. They're freed. But it's interesting because even when they're freed, they're kind of still like in a new sense of trapped, because they don't know how to come back into whatever this real world is. They don't know where they are. They don't know how to interact with anyone but each other. They haven't been able to learn in all this time except from one another and like what stories they can tell each other, which is really not enough. I really enjoyed this book. I had been wanting to read it for such a long time, so I was so happy when I finally got my hands on it. Like I said, extremely dystopian and interesting, and kind of keeps you on your toes because you're constantly wanting better for these women, but you don't even know how to want better because they only have the opportunities they were given, which is really not much at all. And you also are wondering, why are they in this bunker? What happened? Where are people, or is everyone in a bunker? Like, what is going on? So it keeps you guessing, and it keeps you rooting for these women the whole time, and I really enjoyed it. I next read The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, and it's a story of a girl named Jess who goes to Paris to escape what's going on in her current life, to go stay with her half-brother. She has always received less than great opportunities than he has. He's become like the more successful, more stable sibling, and she's sort of the unstable sister with a bit of a rocky past who's just trying to get on her feet but never can. So she's off to Paris to escape and find her footing with her half-brother who's always had her back. She gets there and he's missing. She doesn't know where he is. She doesn't speak the language. She hardly has any money. She knows no one. She feels totally isolated. She's just like screwed. She doesn't know what to do. Lucy Foley does a beautiful job of telling a mystery where each chapter is told from a different character. So you get to hear their internal monologue, and you get to sort of question with yourself whether this person is reliable, if they're guilty, if you should trust them, if the main character should trust them, and what they should do. I loved this. Everyone kind of has their own personal struggle or hurdle they're going through that makes you partially second guess them, but also sometimes maybe makes you empathize with them. Sorry, my boyfriend and my dog walked in. But the story keeps you on your toes and you don't know who to trust, you don't know who's guilty. You understand her isolation in Paris and how dangerous it can be, and you just want her to find someone to trust and help her find her half-brother and gain her footing, but it feels as if there's no solution as you're reading it. And until the very last page, you truly don't know who to trust and where the heck her brother has gone. It's a very well told story. Next, I read The Operator by Gretchen Berg. It's about a woman named Vivian who is a 1950s housewife and she works as an operator. Obviously, we don't have operators anymore, so if you don't know what that is, it's the person that is the in-between person when you go to call someone. So they pick up and they say, who do you want to reach? And then they press the right buttons to transfer you to that person. So she loves eavesdropping on the calls that she transfers, even though you're not supposed to, but she's kind of always just been a little eavesdropper, gossiper ever since she was a kid. And she's always felt a little bit excluded because her sisters and cousins would sort of pair up and she would be left out. And then now that she's an adult, the other women in town are richer than her, or have better clothes, or have better whatever. And she sees her daughter receiving all these educational opportunities that she doesn't get. So she just feels a little bit, out of it. But she loves gossiping. She loves a little story. So she eavesdrops on these calls every day. Until one day she gets a call, transfers it to the person, stays on secretly and listens, and it's about her. And she finds out crazy gossip about herself. And then the rest of the book is her just like spiraling out over this call and finding out more and more about herself that she had no damn clue about her own life. And I'm not going to tell you what, because you don't find out as the reader for like the first 100-something pages. But in theory, this sounds like a great book. It's mysterious, it's drama, it's like family life, friends, connections, everything. But something about the writing wasn't always my favorite. It just was a little bit like choppy. It wasn't fluid for me at times. But it's still a great story. I gave it 2.5 stars, and yeah, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't my favorite book on earth, and that's okay. Then I read Scrap by Calla, Henkel. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. It's about a true crime addict, I guess, a true crime buff named Esther, and she gets left by her fiance. She's stuck with the mortgage. She's hurt, she's shocked, she's just like, I don't know what to do. And then she meets this woman at an art show that she immediately just kind of brushes off and views as this rich, surface level, privileged lady. And the woman asks her to make a scrapbook of her entire life for her husband's 60th birthday. And she tells her that her husband won't let her get decorations or like non-functional house items. Their house is totally white, bare, nothing. So she secretly has kept every receipt, every text screenshot, every photo, everything in these tubs in a storage unit. And she's like, I'm gonna give you them from like all of my life. And I want you to make scrapbooks for my husband for his birthday. Like, I trust you, you're an artist. And at first she says no, because she's like, this stupid rich woman wants me to do this for her, like, no. And then her fiance leaves her. So she's like, okay, I need the money, I'll suck it up, I'll do it. Then this rich woman mysteriously dies, and she immediately, being the true crime junkie that she is like, I'm gonna solve this. I'm gonna figure out what happened. So she kind of just forces herself into this story, and she has all these photos and texts and screenshots and evidence of this woman's life. So she's like, I'm gonna go through them, figure out that what happened. Like, I believe this wasn't a natural death. It's good, it's mysterious, it's dramatic, it's very topical of current times without feeling forced. I feel like a lot of books and media in general try and throw in like Gen Z, like trendy language, and it feels very forced and out of place, but I feel like this does a great job of naturally speaking how people speak today and naturally experiencing things that people experience today without feeling like, oh, they're just trying to be trendy. I loved this book. I thought it was funny, it was mysterious. There were a lot of parts where she does some crazy shit that you just want to be like, oh my god, don't do that. But obviously she does, and it is so good. It spirals into such a crazy story. I loved it. A backstory on the book that I read. It's called The Language of Limbs by Dylin Hardcastle. Me and my boyfriend went to visit some friends in Chicago, and we stopped at this little bookstore randomly halfway, and they had like a wall of employee reviews on books, and this book was on the wall with a review that was like all caps, underlined, bold, and it was like best book ever. I love this book. I think about the characters every day. It's never left me, like, read this book. So obviously I was like, okay, I have to. I didn't even read the inner like page because we were kind of rushed stopping to get food. So I just bought the book and was like, fine, I guess I'll read it. I like this book a lot. There were certain parts that didn't really get to me, but I'll tell that later. So it's called The Language of Limbs, and every chapter you hear the life-telling story of Limb 1 and Limb 2. You don't know their names, you just know Limb 1, Limb 2. And they live in this small town in like 70s, 80s, and they're both girls, and it's like a queer love story. One of them runs away from home and finds like a safe haven for LGBTQ plus people who don't have a safe space at home. And she gets to live her life with other women, with other people with similar experiences as her. And then Limb 2 goes a totally different route, and it's like scared to come out type of hidden story, but both of them are living such different lives in different ways while somehow like intersecting so closely side by side, and they don't know it. God, it's amazing. I really love this book. There are certain parts where they read like poetry and songs within the book, and although they're very touching and good, sometimes that's just not my thing when it's in the middle of a story and it's not like a poetry book in itself, it's just a poem within a book. They weren't bad. Sometimes it just makes me feel a little bit thrown off. I think that's my only like negative review to the book. It also walks you through the AIDS crisis. So obviously it's a sad book. It's hardships of being a queer person during any time, because a lot of the things they're going through are still relevant today. Like all of this hate still exists. So it's not a happy book by any means, but it is one of those just like nail biters where you see them living different lives and you want to just be like, oh my God, you're so close. Because I don't know if I said this part, but they were best friends before the runaway, all of that would like kind of kiss sometimes. They're both a little like, you know, they're like, ooh. And then they just don't see each other again. She runs away. She goes to live a like stereotypical white picket fence, marry a man, do what her parents want her to do, even though she likes women type of story. Oh, there's a lot to it that's just like, wow. I don't even know if I should tell you all this. Like, am I spoiling it? I don't know. I like this book a lot. I next read The Boy and the Dog by Seishu Hase, and it's about a dog that after a tsunami gets separated from its owner, and all the people that it lives with goes through trying to make its way home, and the impact it makes on people's lives. I really enjoyed this book. Each chapter / portion of the book, the dog stays with different people, and there's the boy and the thief, the boy and the couple, the boy and the such and such, and it is so great. You see people going through their lives after this awful tragedy of the tsunami that just like wrecked everyone's lives, and like bringing people together and creating connections, and it's just so good. It's so human, and you see all the things people go through that are just natural and heartbreaking, and it's really sweet. I enjoyed this book a lot. I forgot to say, but I gave that book 3.75 stars. Now me and my boyfriend are reading this book together. It's called Everything I Never Told You, and it's about a girl named Lydia who is found dead. And at first I thought it was going to be like a mystery whodunit, but it's become more of like an unraveling of a family after the death of their teenage daughter / sister, Lydia, and how everyone is so deeply affected. So it's a pretty sad read when I thought I was getting into a mystery. But after each chapter, me and my boyfriend will stop and like discuss it and dismantle everything and like talk about what we think. And I'm intrigued to see if this goes somewhere where it's like, is this a tragic accident? Is someone guilty? How each family member is going to process this and like go back into the world with this grief. I think it's a really great book. It's definitely a hard read, like I said, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying reading something with my boyfriend where we get to talk about it together after each chapter. So yeah. All right, thanks for watching and catching up on all my recent reads with me. Bye, talk soon.